Hello, students. How are you all? Hope you all are enjoying the topic Thinkers, Beliefs, and Buildings. In this video segment, I will analyze a very important topic. The name of the topic is Stupa. The Stupa is of immense significance in the Buddhist history. Now, let's understand why the Stupa was erected and what is its significance, why it is a very sacred place for the followers of the Buddhism. We have seen that Buddhist ideas and practices emerged out of a process of dialogue with other traditions, including those of the Brahmanas, Jains, and several others, not all of whose ideas and practices were preserved in texts. Some of these interactions can be seen in the ways in which sacred places came to be identified. From earliest times, people tended to regard certain places as a sacred. These included sites with special trees or unique rocks. These sites with small shrines attached to them were sometimes described as chaityas. Now the question is, what is chaitya? Chaitya may also have been derived from the word chitta, meaning a funeral pyre, and by extension, a funerary mount. Buddhist literature mentions several chaityas. It also describes places associated with the Buddha's life. Where he was born, place was Lumbini. Where he attained enlightenment, that is Bodh Gaya. Where he gave his first sermon, that is Sarnath. And where he attained Nibbana, that is Kushinagar. Gradually, each of these places came to be regarded as sacred. We know that about 200 years after the time of the Buddha, Ashoka erected a pillar at Lumbini to mark the fact that he had visited the place. Now, the question is, why were stupas built? There were other places too that were regarded as sacred. This was because relics of the Buddha, such as his bodily remains or objects used by him, were buried there. These were mounds known as stupas. The tradition of erecting stupas may have been pre-Buddhist, but they came to be associated with Buddhism. Since they contained relics regarded as sacred, the entire stupa came to be venerated as an emblem of the Buddha and Buddhism. According to Buddhist texts, known as the Ashokavadan, Ashoka distributed portions of the Buddhist relics to every important town and ordered the construction of stupa over them. By the 2nd century BCE, a number of stupas, including those at Bharaut, Sanchi and Sarnath, had been built. The structure, the monument which is on your screen, it is a Sanchi stupa. Sanchi is in Bhopal, is a very important place and very important tourist place, and it is its eastern gate. This stupa has 3-4 gates. This gate is very beautiful gate, so it is of immense importance. Even the European officers in the British period wanted to carry it to the England. Now it is the structure, it is the gate, this is the pillar, this is the railing, this is called the and, this is called the harmika. First of all, what is a stupa? A stupa is basically a Sanskrit word. You should remember it. It is a Sanskrit word. It means heap. It is a mound-like or hemispherical structure, as you seen in the picture, containing relics such as sharira, typically the remains of Buddhist monks or nuns, that is used as a place of meditation. A related architectural term is a chaitya, which is a prayer hall or a temple containing a stupa. I have told you earlier what is chaitya. Now, we all know about the early life of Buddha. A quick look over it. His birth was in 563 CE. He died in 483 CE. His father was Shuddhodhan. He was the chief of the Shakya Gana of Kapilvastu. I have told you what is Gana. His mother's name was Maya. She was a Koliya princess. Koliya was also a Gan. When he was young, he was known as Siddhartha. As the Mahavir Swami was known as a Vardhaman. He was married with Yasodhara. and he has a child named Rahul. I have told you about the four events that changed the life of the Siddhartha and his quest for enlightenment. It was, he saw first of all old guy, a diseased person, a dead body, and a happy manly cat. And he left his house. This event in the Pali text is termed as Mahabhinishkramana. At the age of 29, when the Mahatma Buddha left his home, this is called the Mahabhinishkramana. You have to remember it. I have told you earlier, he met with two early teachers. One was Alhar Kalam, who was the renowned teacher of Sankhya philosophy, and another was Rudraka Ramaputra. He was a yoga teacher. He went and asked both of them, what is a reality? What is the true knowledge? But Sankhya Darshan and extreme yoga could not make him happy. Again, he moved for the quest of enlightenment. He reached Bodh Gaya, that is in Bihar, and there he did meditation. And from he got enlightenment. He became enlightened, and Siddhartha now named as Buddha. Buddha means the enlightened person. What he found over there? He found a theory of Pratitya Samutpada during his meditation. At the age of 35, he went to Sarnath, and from there he propagated his education and his ideas among the people. As I have told you, after enlightenment, he was known as a Buddha. And when he started propagating his philosophy, teachings, and education, this process is called the Dharma Chakra Pravartana in the Pali text. What is a Pratitya Samutpada? Pratitya Samutpada is a key doctrine of Buddhist philosophy which states that all dharmas or phenomenon are independent upon each other. धर्मा संसार की सभी वस्तुएं किसी न किसी कारण से उत्पन्न हुई है. The theory of the relativity of the Einstein emerged from this principle. Pratitya Samutpada is very scientific in its nature. Without any reason or assertion, nothing is possible in this world. He was died in Pava, which was the capital of Mallas, at the age of 40. He was cremated, and relics of the Buddha, such as his bodily remains or objects used by him, were buried there. These were mounds known as stupas. I have told you in the lecture. 8 Ganas were there who were claiming over the relics of the Buddha. They were Pavas, Kapilvastus, Vaishalis, Alkappas, Ramgams, Pipilivans, Vaitdvip, and Magadha's kings. They all were claiming. So his relics was divided into 8 parts, and 8 Buddha were erected at the time. The tradition of erecting stupas may have been pre-Buddhist, but they came to be associated with Buddhism, I have told you. It was made popular at the time of Buddha. It is not the new concept. Since they contained relics regarded as sacred, the entire stupa came to be venerated as an emblem of both the Buddha and Buddhism. You know it very well. According to a Buddhist text known as the Ashoka Vadana, Ashoka distributed portion of Buddha's relics to every important town and ordered the construction of stupas over them. You know it very well in the previous chapters. Ashoka was a follower of Buddhism. Even on the lines of the Buddhism, he propounded a new way of life that is called the Dhamma, which major ideas and important values are taken from Buddhism. He was very much influenced and impressed with Buddhist ideologies and Buddhist philosophy, so he ordered the construction of stupas in India, ruled by him. By the 2nd century BCE, because of this, a number of stupas, including those at Bharahut, Sanchi, and Sarnath, had been built. Now, why were stupas built? There is an excerpt in your book which is taken from the Sutta Pitaka, and it is called the Mahaparinirman Sutta. There are a number of chapters, number of mantras, number of hymns in Sutta Pitak. One of the chapter is Mahaparinirvan Sutta. I have told you what is the meaning of Mahaparinirvan. Sorry, I didn't tell you. Mahanirvan means at the age of 40, when Buddha died in Pava, his death is called the Mahaparinirvan. This is called the Mahaparinirvan. In Mahaparinirvana Sutta, which is a part of the Sutta Pitaka, as the Buddha lay dying, Ananda asked him, you know about the Ananda, what are we to do, Lord, with the remains of Tathagat? Tathagat is another name of the Buddha. You should know. Buddha is also termed as Tathagat. Okay, so Ananda asked him at his deathbed, what are we to do, Lord, with the remains of the Tathagat? The Buddha replied, hinder not yourself, Ananda, by honoring the remains of the Tathagat. Be zealous, be intent on your own good. But when pressed further, the Buddha said, at the four crossroads, they should erect a thupa. The word thupa is the Pali of stupa. I have told you, stupa is a Sanskrit word and thupa is a Pali word. To the Tathagata. And whosoever shall there place garlands of perfumes or make a salutation there or become in its presence calm of heart, that shall long to be them for a profit attachment. This Mahaparinirvana Sutra story tells us, after lots of persuasion, Buddha itself said that you have to erect a stupa. If you go and do salutation over there, you will have the profit and joy. How were stupas built? Mainly, if you go to any temple or any shrine, you will find there is a inscription attached in a wall or in a pillar of the temple. They are indicating towards the donation given by donees in the construction of this temple. The donations were very important to construct, to erect the stupas. These donations. Now, inscriptions found on the railings and pillars of stupas record donations made for buildings and decorating them. Who were donees? 3-4 sections of the society were donees. First, the kings. We have the example of Satvahana king. We have read about this king in previous chapters. Satvahana kings, they donated lots of money in the erection of Amaravati Stupa in South Andhra Pradesh. Now, guilds. You know what is the guild? Guild is the organization of business persons or the craftsmen. Ivory workers financed part of one of the gateway at the Sanchi. Two sections of the society. One was the king, another was the guild. Third was were individual donations were also there. It includes the name, place, occupation, and relatives of the donee. Very important for your MCQs. Next, donations were also given by the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. So, in short, donations played a very important role in the erection and the construction of the stupa. Kings, guilds, individual donations, and bhikkhus and bhikkhunis were instrumental in the donation. Now, every donation is mentioned in the votive inscription. What is votive inscription? A votive inscription from Sanchi. Hundreds of similar inscriptions have also been found at the Bharhut and Amravati. The picture which is being shown, it is written in the Pali language, and it shows who was the donee. It includes the name of the place, occupation, and relatives. It is mentioned in the Pali. Such type of votive inscriptions are also found from Bharhut and Amravati stupas. Now, it is the structure of the stupa, basically. Now, let's understand what is this, what is this, what is this, and what is this. Okay. 4 important structures are there in stupa. First is called the anda. It is a simple semicircular mound of the earth. This is called the And, semicircular stupa. Now, Hermika. Above the And was the Hermika, a balcony-like structure that represented the abode of the gods, just similar as the Garbhagriha of the Hindu temples. Now, Yashti, arising from the Hermika, was a mast called the Yashti, often surmounted by the Chhatri or the umbrella. It is called the Yashti and it is called the Chhatri. This is Yashti. Now, railing. Around the mound was a railing separating the sacred place from the secular world. This is the railing. Every temple has its own boundary which separates from public life to the temple life. In the same way, it is also separating the sacred space from the secular world. Now, the structure of stupa. The early stupas at Sanchi and Bharaut were plain, except for the stone railings and the gateways. What does it mean? It means, just a second. This gate, it was decorated from beginning of the erection of the stupa. Second, this railing, which is shown here, this is called the Vedika, it was decorated. Rest stupas were very simple earlier. You should know it. The early stupas such as the Sanchi and Bharaut were plain except for the stone railings and the gateways. Two were decorated, two were ornamented. That was railings and gateway. These two structures. The rest stupa was not ornamental or not decorated, but it was a simple, which were richly carved and installed at the four cardinal points. Now, later, the mound of the stupas came to be elaborately carved with niches and sculptures as at Amravati and Shahaji Ki Dheri in Peshawar, Pakistan. We found the relics of two stupas. One is in Pakistan, that is called the Shahaji Ki Dheri stupa, and another is the Amravati. They are elaborately carved and decorated, and its sculpture is very rich because they are the later stupas. So here you should know 2 points. Two are the very earlier stupas, that is Sanchi and Bharaut, and two are erected later on, that is Amravati and Shahaji Ki Dheri. Now, worshippers entered through the eastern gateway. It was very important gateway, and walked, that I have shown in the picture previously, and walked around the mound in a clockwise direction, keeping the mound on the right. For example, when you go to any Hanuman or Ram temple, then you take a round in the clockwise direction, and this space is called the Pradakshina Path. We move in the direction of the sun, that is clockwise. In the same manner, worshippers enter through the eastern gate, as we enter through the eastern gate in the temples, and walked around the mound in a clockwise direction, keeping the mound on the right. Same. This is the eastern gateway. The vibrant sculpture is being shown here. That is a highly carved and decorated and very beautiful gate. Now, the another topic is discovering of stupas, how stupas were discovered. Before starting the topic, let me tell you, Sanchi is preserved nowadays, even it is very early stupa. But the Amravati, only relics of the Amravati is there in Andhra Pradesh. Why Sanchi is preserved and Amravati is only in relics? What was the fate of Amravati and the Sanchi? First of all, we come to the discovering of stupas, how the stupas were discovered. Earlier, the local Raja in 1796 found the relics of the Sanchi. Second, the name Colonel Mackenzie is very important, who visited the site, although he found several pieces of sculpture and made detailed drawings. He is also instrumental for drawing the map of the Vijayanagar Empire. Later we will go through it. In 1854, Elliot, the commissioner of the Guntur, Andhra Pradesh, visited Amravati and collected several sculptures, panels, and took them away to the Madras. These came to be called as the Elliot marbles after them. It's a very important question. It may be asked as an MCQ. In 1854, Walter Elliot, who was the commissioner of the Guntur, Andhra Pradesh, visited the Amravati and collected several sculptures, panels, and took them away to Madras. These came to be called as the Elliot marbles after him. In the next video, I will elaborately describe about the discovering of the stupa. Till then, see you. Goodbye.